Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are looking at a massive, and I mean massive, paradigm shift in data security. We're going to explore the transition away from those clunky, static, manual security policies and see exactly how organizations are building intelligent, machine learning-driven defense frameworks. So think about this for a second. What if your security perimeter could actually breathe and react to risk levels in real time? Let's establish the stakes here. In 2026, static security policies are basically leaving the back door wide open for data exfiltration. In a world where insider threats move way faster than any manual update ever could, you need a defense that thinks for itself. Today, we're unpacking how adaptive protection in Microsoft Purview turns machine learning into your absolute strongest digital shield. When we map out the reality of the insider threat landscape, specifically looking at user intent versus access risk, a really clear picture emerges. On one side, sure, you have unintentional behavior and negligent users. But on the other side, you have the active threats, compromised accounts, departing employees who are actively exfiltrating data. A departing employee who is gradually stealing data over a few weeks moves far, far faster than any manual IT policy update can handle. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the end of static security. Second, connecting the signal to the shield. Third, architecting the adaptive perimeter. Fourth, neutralizing exfiltration real-time. And finally, operationalizing intelligence. Okay, jumping right into Section 1, the end of static security. From manual intervention to AI-driven dynamic defense. Let's be real, traditional data loss prevention, good old DLP, is kind of failing us right now. Why? Because it relies on a rigid one-size-fits-all barrier. It creates immense alert fatigue and demands constant manual intervention. It's time to stop playing an endless game of catch-up with zero-trust security and start automating the perimeter. By using context-aware, AI-driven dynamic controls, adaptive protection enforces true zero-trust based on real-time behavior analysis, rather than just scanning static files. It's a total game-changer. Moving on to Section 2, connecting the signal to the shield, bridging insider risk management and DLP. So the crucial point here is how Purview actually identifies a user's intent. It uses something super interesting called risk score boosters. Essentially, these are specialized machine learning models that look at a user's activity against their own established 30-day baseline. If an employee suddenly starts mass downloading files or uploading stuff to unallowed web domains, the system detects this anomaly immediately and boosts their risk score. It's identifying leaky behaviors before they can become full-blown breaches. And here is how this automated handshake actually works in practice. Machine learning risk tiers integrate directly into your DLP policy engine. If a user is at a minor risk, maybe they just get a policy tip or an audit. No big deal. If their risk becomes moderate, say they're uploading to a personal cloud, they get hit with a block with overwrite. But if they hit elevated risk with a mass download followed by a USB export, boom, the system instantly applies a hard block. Let's dive into Section 3, architecting the adaptive perimeter, high-level, detailed technical deployment. Before we can actually deploy this intelligence, the infrastructure has to be able to see the activity, right? This requires Microsoft 365 E5 licensing for native integration. You absolutely must have unified audit logging enabled tenant-wide. And critically, you need a 24-hour data latency period to establish that initial signal baseline before any of the machine learning can even function. So here's the exact playbook for IT to set this up. First, verify unified audit logging is actually on. Second, assign the global insider risk management role. Remember, Purview handles data pseudonymization by default to protect privacy, so role-based access is super strict. Third, toggle analytics to on and monitor for 48 hours to get your baseline. Finally, configure those adaptive DLP rules and set them to priority 0. That ensures they immediately take precedence to restrict cloud uploads and USB exports the second they're triggered. Now, what happens if something goes wrong? As a best practice, you always need a fallback. If a telemetry failure occurs during deployment, the architecture dictates that you simply toggle adaptive protection to off. This acts as a safety net, safely reverting your environment back to your static DLP baseline to maintain data coverage without completely disrupting your workforce. All right, Section 4, neutralizing exfiltration real-time, visualizing the preemptive kill chain. Let's walk through a live threat simulation of a departing employee. Purview doesn't just look at isolated events. It uses intelligent sequence detection. Check this out. On day 1, the user does a mass download. The system logs it, audit only. On day 2, they try to rename or obfuscate those files. The ML models boost their score to moderate risk, and now DLP requires a justification to move files. By day 3, they attempt a USB export. Their risk level hits elevated, and the system automatically applies a hard block. We've literally stopped data movement the moment suspicious patterns emerged, with absolutely zero admin input required. Think about the technical condition logic running behind the scenes. By mapping this logic directly to the user's fluctuating risk score, the entire security experience is completely customized. Low-risk employees stay highly productive with zero friction. Meanwhile, high-risk actions are aggressively throttled. The perimeter is literally adjusting itself on the fly. Of course, to get to this point without massive business disruption, we rely heavily on simulation mode. This is your ultimate safety valve. You run your policies in a dry-run state for about 15 days. It evaluates user activities against your thresholds and shows you exactly who would have been blocked. This allows leadership to validate the ML accuracy and tune the models way before ever turning on live enforcement. And our final part, Section 5, Operationalizing Intelligence for the Future, Governance and Tuning. To manage the noise and prevent false positives, you have to tune the engine. You configure indicator variants to adjust how actions like USB copying are weighted. You define unallowed domains to flag things like personal clouds. For employees who legitimately need massive data movement, you put them in specific detection groups, and you apply global exclusions for benign files. This fine-tuning, alongside reviewing automated audit logs for executive health insights, is exactly how you maintain employee trust while staying locked down. Ultimately, the core takeaway from this explainer is all about balancing productivity with security. By integrating machine learning-driven risk signals with dynamic data loss prevention, organizations can successfully replace those rigid configurations with a self-adjusting system that stops insider risks dead in their tracks. I'm going to leave you with this final, critical thought to evaluate your current governance setup. In a landscape where insider threats evolve by the minute, is your perimeter actively learning or just waiting to be bypassed? Thank you for joining this explainer on Microsoft Purview Adaptive Protection. Now let's go start building that self-healing perimeter.